because it made the Catholic Church look ridiculous. Because in the 19th century, there was a lot of debate and dispute with the Church about Darwin and other matters. And the idea was that if we can portray the Church as being so ridiculous that it used to actually teach the earth was flat, then we can show that she is an utterly contemptible opponent. So they invented this story to cast the Church in an absurd, ridiculous light. I am sure they had no idea the longevity of this myth, that in the 21st century people would still be taught it. I'm sure somewhere in the world right now as I speak, somebody's being taught the stupid Church taught the earth was flat and brave, heroic Columbus proved them wrong. It just won't go away. But why won't it go away? Why does it have such staying power? And the reason is that it feeds into this Enlightenment stereotype, right? The Catholic Church is stupid, it inhibits progress, it forces us to believe foolish things. Well, that's exactly what we see in the flat earth myth, isn't it? Who could possibly believe the earth was flat? The ancient Greeks actually measured the circumference of the earth. So obviously they knew it was round. How could the foolish Church think anything different? So there's a great example that can easily be overturned. But it hasn't been overturned because it serves a purpose. If you tried to invent some myth today about any famous person you could think of and say that so-and-so believed such and such, it would last for about 3 seconds. But people believe what they are prepared to believe. And people are prepared to believe the worst about the Catholic Church. So the point of the series, the point of the next 12 weeks in which I'll be joining you, is to go after not simply these little myths, but to build up an edifice to show the glories of the Catholic Church. Not simply to say, well, the Church didn't really do this, or the Church wasn't really so bad over here. We're not going to make any progress if our message is, the Catholic Church, not as bad as you thought. We need something a little more vigorous, a little more vigor in our message. We need instead to say, it's not simply the Catholic Church isn't as bad as you thought, or she didn't really teach the earth was flat. We can't win by always running around putting out fires. Nobody ever built a house by putting out fires. Fires have to be put out, it's true. But we understand that we can't build if that's what we're always doing. If we're always letting opponents of the Church define the debate for us, then we're always going to be on the defensive. And it seems to me, given the state of our civilization, that it's about time that we went, shall we say, on the offensive. And we showed people all the glories of the Church, and we showed them all this hidden history. So we don't have to say, oh, we're not really as bad as you think. We're far more glorious than we ourselves even realize. And we are going to be up against, well, frankly, very, very influential people in this world. I'm sure many of you remember that the European Union's Constitution excludes all mention of the Christian influence on Western civilization. How willfully blind would you have to be, surrounded by cathedrals and religious artwork and the fruits of what the Church has given us? How blind would you have to be not to mention that the Church had a little something to do with building this civilization? No. Instead, the European Union Constitution begins and ends with the idea that Western civilization, that comes to us from ancient Greece and Rome, and then from the Renaissance and the Enlightenment. And that 1,000-year period in between, well, I don't know what was going on. Apparently nothing much. That's the standard view, and that was the standard view many people had up until, as I say, as recently as 50 or 100 years ago. But today, any medieval historian worth his salt knows this is a whole lot of nonsense and would reject it with a laugh. But yet, the architects of the European Union exclude mention of the Church or of Christ from their founding document. It isn't that they're stupid. If it were just a matter of stupidity, that would be easily overcome. We just come back with the facts and that'll be the end of it. It's that they're hostile to the Church. I mean, what could be more obvious than that? Look at what the European Union is up to half the time. Do they seem like pious Catholics, most of these people? They have no interest in spreading the truth about the Church. And that's why we as Catholics are under a particular obligation. We have to learn what we can about our faith. And we have to go and spread it. And we have to go and tell people the real history of the Catholic Church. Because if we don't defend ourselves, nobody's going to do it for us. I actually wrote a book called How the Catholic Church Built Western Civilization, because I thought it was about time that we told our story. And that's what I'm going to spend the next 12 episodes doing, is telling our story. But for next time, we're going to start 3 programs on the subject of the church and science. And you're going to have more ammunition than you're going to know what to do with by the time we're done with the next 3 episodes. Because did you know, for instance, that the Jesuits, the Society of Jesus, did you know that they were so accomplished in the sciences that right now 35 craters on the moon are named after Jesuit scientists? Did you know that 1 out of 20 of the greatest mathematicians who ever lived belonged to the Society of Jesus? Or that the Jesuits helped to found and then became the greatest practitioners of the study of earthquakes, seismology. And we can go on and on and on. Atomic theory, the study of ancient Egypt, the study of physics, and I can go on and on. There are so many ways in which the Catholic Church contributed to the sciences. So join me next time for the Catholic Church, Builder of Civilization.